Today I will mention the first sin that was committed in this world. Allahu Akbar. Today do we know what the first sin of this world was? Inshallah Azza wa Jal, in today's episode, this is something that I will be discussing, inshallah Azza wa Jal. Before I continue, Hazrat Hawa radiyallahu ta'ala anha, it's mentioned that when she would give birth, it's mentioned that she would give birth to twins each time. And amongst these twins would be one boy and one girl. So every pregnancy, she would give birth to twins, one boy and one girl. And the Sharia of that time was that the boy of one pregnancy could marry the girl of another pregnancy. Allahu Akbar. So this was the rule of that time, that the boy of one pregnancy could marry the girl of another pregnancy. So it's mentioned that Qabil, his sister's name was Iklima, and Habil, his sister's name was Livza. So it's mentioned that Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, he approached Qabil, and he said to Qabil that you should get married to Livza. But Qabil, he wanted to get married to Iklima. So he said to his father, Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, no, I want to get married to Iklima. I don't want to get married to Livza. Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, he continued to explain to him that, listen, you can't marry. She's your direct sister. She was part of your pregnancy. She's your twin sister. You can't get married to her, but you can get married to Livza. So it's mentioned that because he was stubborn, Qabil, because he didn't want to listen, he didn't want to hear no for an answer, it's mentioned that Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, he brought both of his sons, Qabil and Habil, and he said to them that, listen, present as sacrifice in the court of Allah Azza wa Jal, and whoever sacrifices get accepted in the court of Allah, they will marry Iklima. So in those days, a sign of a sacrifice is being accepted in the court of Allah was that a fire from the sky would come down and engulf the sacrifice. So it's mentioned that Qabil, he offered some grains of wheat, whereas Habil offered a goat for sacrifice. Now when they presented this sacrifice in the way of Allah Azza wa Jal, it's mentioned that the fire came and engulfed the sacrifice of Habil, meaning the goat. And Qabil's sacrifice, the grains of wheat, remained. So Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, after this sacrifice was accepted, he approached his son and he said to him that, look, I told you that this is the decision of Allah. Your sacrifice has not been accepted, so you can't marry Livza. So it's mentioned that Qabil, he was very jealous of his brother. This was the first sin ever committed on the earth. Qabil was jealous of Habil, and he even threatened to kill him. Now, after some time passed, and his jealousy, this began to increase. This is exactly what happens in today's society. Jealousy starts from there, slowly gets bigger, and then something happens. Same thing happened here. Qabil, he did the action, he killed his brother. Allahu Akbar, he killed Habil. And at that time, my dear respected Islamic brothers, it was the first murder. And Habil was only 20 years old, and this incident took place in the city of Makkah Sharif. It's reported that when Qabil killed Habil, an earthquake kept on jolting the earth for 7 whole days. Qabil, he was very handsome, but once he killed his brother Habil, it's mentioned that his face just became ugly and his beautifulness this disappeared. Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam, he was so grieved by this incident that he did not smile for 100 years. Now when Qabil killed Habil, it's mentioned that Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, he told Qabil to go away from him. He didn't want to speak to him. He said, go away from here. And it's mentioned that Qabil, he took the body of his brother and he went away. Now because he was the first murder, because he was the first death of this world, he didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to do with his brother's body, meaning Habil's body. So it's mentioned that Allah Azza wa Jal, they sent 2 birds as a demonstration. Both of these birds, they argued, they fighted, and it's mentioned that one bird, it killed the other bird. And it's mentioned that this bird, it then buried the other bird. So this is the matter of burial. This is where it's come from. Allah Azza wa Jalla, at that time, He sent 2 birds to demonstrate of how we should deal with a person who passes away. So this is exactly what Qabil did. He then buried his brother after 7 days. So dear viewers of Madani Channel, we learn from this incident that the first sin to be committed on this earth was jealousy. Qabil was jealous of his brother Habil. And then it's mentioned the first murder was also taken place here when Qabil, he killed his brother Habil. And after this, my dear respected Islamic brothers, Shaitan came. Shaitan said to him, listen Qabil, your sadaqah, this was accepted because your brother, he said a false thing, he said because your brother worships the fire, that's why it looked like his sadaqah was accepted, but in fact your sadaqah was accepted. And it's mentioned the son of a Prophet alayhi salam, the son of Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, he then turned towards shirk and he started to worship the fire.